Okay, looks like we are live, gentlemen. Okay, everybody, welcome and hello to our awesome Wargamers Hangout number 27. We're getting there.
27.
27.
All right.
The only time we're documented to have hung out with each other. We've got some special guests today. We've got Sam and Phil joining us from Wargamer Online. Wargamer Online, I'm saying that right, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect.
And they have a newer channel and have come out with oodles of content. It's made me very jealous, so of course I want to get to know them. And so we're going to talk about them today. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's, oh, sorry, Dan, you were...
I was going to say, why don't you take a minute or two to explain what's Wargamer Online?
Yes.
Right. I think Sam's waiting for me to say something here, so I'll go. I'm Phil. That one's Sam. Wargamer Online is a community channel that we set up on, obviously on YouTube, but it also has a website as well that accompanies it. So the YouTube channel is predominantly our way of delivering sort of video content, obviously, and then the website is rapidly expanding to include kind of other community tools as well. So we've got things like events, calendars, and things like that. So we want to kind of expand upon that, but predominantly it was our way of kind of expanding our hobby out to a wider community so people can get involved and join in and have fun. That was kind of the premise, really. But it's a lot of work, isn't it? As you know. So
Well, it's exhausting, but you have a team. How many folks you've got working on Wargamer Online?
There's 4 of us that form the core team, and then we've got a few friends that are helping out. You know, some more than others based on how much time they've got available to us as well. So yes, probably, I think we had 7 on one live chat the other night, didn't we, Sam? And it just got a bit extreme there, didn't it? I think it was a bit of a shout fest, but we were all very, very excited about 8th edition Warhammer 40k. So
Nice. Is that the hangout from earlier? Because I actually saw that one earlier today.
it was, I think it was about a week ago, that one, when a week and a half ago when the announcement first started to sneak out. So.
Okay, your earlier one
Yes.
was much calmer then, because I know you guys were talking about we're talking a lot about Sigmar, which I'm like, I've never played Sigmar, so okay. But
You've not played Sigmar? That's interesting. Well, you know, if you play 40k at all as well, then eventually you'll be playing kind of Sigmar, I think, to a degree.
Shadow Armageddon, but so
You can see that. I know. Look, I'm working on loads and loads of Shadow War scenery right now as well. Very exciting. I'm as excited about that as you are, I think.
No, I'm super cool, but they're very excited about it because they just came out with the Sisters rule on the 22nd, I want to say. So I downloaded it, and then I just have to actually read through all the rule book. So, it'll be
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, Shadow Armageddon, I'm excited about. I never played Fantasy, so Age of Sigmar meant not really much of anything to me. But I do remember the wailing and gnashing of teeth when the changeover happened, and then like everybody's fine with it now. Like all the dissent was suddenly silenced. I don't know what happened, if there was a coup or some rampant assassinations going on.
No, it's still there. It's still there. So I thought it calmed down in like public forums, but like I was at Alberta's con, called GrotzCon for miniature wargaming this weekend, and there was people playing War Machine, Malifaux, Guild Ball, 40k, 8th Age, or like fantasy. Still, and they're like, oh, I'm like, what? No Age of Sigmar? And they're like, arr. Like, no.
It got coined the Rage of Sigmar.
which is fine. And I still am a massive fan of the rank and file of moving around the guys. I find that a lot of fun. And so when they took that away, it was a bit sad. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I played the first Warhammer Fantasy Edition. So I'm very, very old. I'm older than my beard. Yeah, I very much got into that huge rank and file game, but luckily had a break from the hobby for a few years. So by the time I came back into it, I wasn't so attached to fantasy. So the Age of Sigmar adjustment was fairly easy for me. And yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think when people actually try it and play it, they tend to like it more. That's the thing. But we still see some of the frustration over the switch over.
Yeah, the people that are like still just want this, like the super competitive, I've just migrated over to other games like War Machine or Malifaux.
Yeah.
or play the fan made thing, 8th Age or 9th Age or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
So, but Age of Sigmar, like, people are loving it, just like more casually, just like as a nice, you don't have to be so dedicated or paint so many models. You can still, but it's just a more relaxed, fun community game.
It had a rough start though, right? The rules were they've been refined since then.
Well, they didn't have rules, right? And then they're like, well, let's actually make some actual rules. And people are like, okay, yeah, this is great. So
I assume you're referring to the point system.
Would you say it was would you say it was community integrated development, Dan?
I don't know. It was just delayed GW. although it is insane with how much GW is participating with community right now with 8th edition coming up. I'm just like, who are you? What happened?
Well, they've branded themselves as they're the new Games Workshop trademark, I think is how they announced it in one of their recent releases.
It's all like the sign like you see over those old restaurants, under new management. You won't get food poisoning this time, promise.
People are flocking.
We live about a 60-minute drive from Warhammer World, so we go up there quite regular, and it's not just publicity. There's a noticeable difference when you walk around the place and talk to people. There's an openness that definitely wasn't there before. So I think it is culturally getting driven quite well through that business, and I don't think they're having to work that hard, because I think a lot of people who work for Games Workshop are quite happy to get involved in the community and integrate and involve people. Now they've just been permissioned to do it, Yeah,
GW just finally is under proper management.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on your guys' channel, from what I've seen so far, from the minor level of stalking I've done, is it's mostly all GW product, right? Are you covering other games?
Yeah, we've basically, our main love in terms of miniature gaming has always been Games Workshop. It's kind of a bubble that we've been surrounded by for many, many years, and it's only in the last few months that both of us really have looked outside of Games Workshop products. So we've been to Salute, which was absolutely massive. There's about 6,000-7,000 people there, and saw a huge range of different miniatures that we wanted to delve into. So we interviewed a few people, looked at like Warlord games, all of the World War II stuff that was available, the Weird War, fantasy games, loads of really unique looking, characterful models. So there's loads of other stuff that we want to get into. But I think it was also in the areas where, like, I lived around Derby and Nottingham, moving to where we are now in I know it's not that far compared to America, or literally just around the corner, but moving from that area to where I am now, everybody played Games Workshop. Wherever you go, somebody plays Games Workshop, so it was easy. And that was why I stuck to it. But in terms of content, we kind of start with what we know and what we enjoy, and go from there, really.
Well, and a meta kind of builds what you're most likely to play. I think that applies pretty consistently everywhere. Even if you want to try a game, if you can't get other people interested in it, it's really hard to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I think bolt action in general, the World War II stuff is something I'm interested in, and Phil will play it, but he'll do it as like a favour sort of thing. I don't know if he's going to get as into it as he is sci-fi.
Are you guys familiar with this? Are you guys familiar with this weird World War II sort of thing, the Weird War II, which is kind of World War II but taken in a weird sci-fi direction, because that's definitely gaining ground in the UK. No, so you've got, Conflict 47 and those kind of things, which is 1947, and you've got the English army and the American army with walkers and walker tanks and things like that.
Spider tanks and bear. It was the bear Russians, wasn't it? They were amazing. You got these giant soldiers that are just mutated, and zombie Germans and stuff. It's just awesome.
Oh yeah, and someone in the chat just mentioned Conflict 47. Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
okay.
That's the one. Yeah.
So, I mean, the only one that was semi-close to what I'd heard of was, Michael had pointed out, like Dust Tactics, Dust Warfare, but I don't know that that's... Yeah. We just, I don't know, I've seen a little bit of that, but I haven't seen most of the other ones. But I like the aesthetic of it. I mean, Warfare is the reason I'm interested in Wargame. Well, big robots are the biggest reason I'm attracted to war games. But, like, I love the warfare tactics of it, and so when you do incorporate that, it does sound interesting. Is it all skirmish level, typically, or can you get pretty large with it?
To be honest, neither of us have played it. I'm more into the models just because I do a lot of painting rather than playing games, and Phil's been doing a lot of sci-fi, so we just haven't got around to playing it. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone in the chat's done it.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen of the demo games, it's kind of Sigmar skirmish, if you like, that level. You could definitely field, you know, quite a few units, I suppose, you know, 5 to 10 units at least. But yeah, we've not seen huge games, have we? But that doesn't work very well for demo games, if you like.
Is there a lot of Infinity where you guys are?
Nothing. There is nothing. There's not really any Malifaux, War Machine, Infinity. What is played? So Warzone Resurrection was played, and we've got Devil's Run. So the company that does Devil's Run is Wordforge Games, and they're around the corner from us. And that's obviously local, so the local club plays that. And there's also a new one that he's creating called Star Knights, and that's another game that will probably be interested in the club. But it's generally GW in the local area. But I think content-wise for the website, because we're aiming to do a good mix of everything, so we'll have painting tutorials. That's generally what we started off focusing on and spent a lot of time trying to get this set up. So making sure that the recording of painting tutorials was done properly, and we had the nice little swashes that pop out and tell you what paint you're going to be using, and that sort of thing, and getting the background audio right. And then as soon as we launched, we spent almost probably about 7 or 8 months working on how everything is done. And as soon as we launched, we quickly realized that it's like the chats and the battle reports that a lot of people are asking for, and we were just playing them without recording it. So we'd sit down, we'd just turn up and chat to each other, and as soon as we put that on the internet, everybody's enjoying that. So we thought we may as well just film it and put it online, and so that's quite popular. Same with the battle reports. Obviously there's a lot of channels out there that do battle reports. We try to think of our own unique way of recording a battle report. We came up with different camera angles and how that would work in the battle report itself. Got it working. By that point, GW had already taken the bird's eye camera angle, and we were like, oh no, we've been spending so much time developing and thinking about what we can do that we just didn't do it. And we've done the dice camera since, so we've integrated all of those together. So you can it's kind of like computer games, because obviously I've played a lot of like Call of Duty or Battlefield in the past, and I always loved the mini maps, so you can see where things are on the map and seeing the action rather than having to trace the dice across the board, just having a nice little dice cam so that people can see that. So we try to integrate all of that into one game.
No, I did notice that on your battle reports that you do have a lot of cameras and basically a heads-up display, like you said, kind of from a video game.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
Nicely done. And the roaming camera is a good touch as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's the only other thing, because I basically left my job to focus on this full-time, and Phil still has a full-time job, and it's quite a big job, so he's got limited time as well. So we've kind of put everything we can into the last year, making sure that we could do what we could. And it's a lot of sleepless nights, but it's definitely worth it, and it's a hell of a lot more fun than doing a normal job for me.
So you guys living the dream then?
I am at the moment. I think a little bit more sleep would be the only thing I need.
I gotcha.
Yes, it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, I think there's a lot of people that, you know, who are that passionate about the hobby out there, that if they could turn their careers into something connected to the hobby, then that is living the dream a little bit, isn't it? So yes, it is. I mean, it's great fun. It really is great fun. It is a lot of work, but had a hell of a lot of fun in the last few months. And we were talking just before we went live about the sort of team and the dynamic. We released a bloopers reel, and considering we'd only got, been going about 11 weeks, we had probably about 3 hours worth of bloopers we had to narrow down to, probably about a 5-minute video. And we just got there's so much fun going on off camera, and it was trying to narrow that down to sort of a 3-minute clip just to release to people to have a bit of a laugh how much we argue off camera, basically. So that's all good fun. There's been some monumental disagreements over what constitutes as 6-inch and things like that, and whether you can and can't charge and all the rest. That's always good fun.
Yeah, I remember you commenting or somebody commenting earlier about somebody talking about 1 inch and 1 millimeter, and Never had that.
You can't mix your measurement systems. You cannot have imperial and metric. It's not going to work.
But you can't play games with Phil without a little bit of disagreement anyway, or anybody actually.
No.
Me and Dave argue quite often, but it's generally, that's part of the game for both of us. We'll sit and bicker about little things that don't mean anything, and then roll dice, and both of us will die. Makes no difference. It's just fun to have a little bit of a bicker.
I think we're getting some chat, aren't we? Are you guys not hearing us very clearly over in the UK?
I think it seems to be lagging more than anything, like that connection. Of course, it's not my fault at all. That connection.
No. It's Brexit. It's
Oh no, we're just gonna have to do our best. Oh. Okay, well, so you guys have a like a paywall plan, like you've got an actual subscription-based channel, and that's to get access to all of the painting tutorials, extra stuff, because I know you have a lot on YouTube.
Yeah. That was one of the trickiest decisions when we were setting up. As Sam mentioned, we spent about a year getting ready before we launched the channel, and some of that was filming, some of that was just trying different techniques out. But one of the big questions we had is, if we wanted to try and do it professionally, as in to be paid for doing this, so we can do more and more, how do we go about charging for it? Because there's so many options out there now with Kickstarters and Patreon and all of these different ways that people can pay for it. And a lot of those don't really rely on, they rely on people to sort of donate, either through Patreon or PayPal or something.
Right.
And we decided that wasn't for us. We kind of figured if people are prepared to pay to support us to do what we want to do, then we think they should get something extra. So we settled on the paywall mechanism. So yes, if you sign up to a premium account on the website, all of our content in one form or another is available on YouTube. So we do tutorials on YouTube, we do chats, we do those kind of things. What's behind the premium section is more in-depth tutorials. So you might go from a 10-minute tutorial to a 30, 45-minute tutorial, which will go through, painting entire models. And Sam's like some kind of painting wizard who was trained by the master that trained Duncan from Games Workshop, I believe. So
one of those guys.
Yeah, get out. No, I don't.
It's not spectacular. It's not competition level, but it's decent advice. Like, it's decent stuff. When I started, actually, it was Derby Store, and that's where Chris Peach and the Duncan that everybody knows on Warhammer TV, both of them were members of staff at the store, and they taught me when I was like 15 or 14 or something. So having Duncan and Chris Peach as like mentors to painting has been a great thing to start off with. And through the years, I've just tried to find ways to speed up the army painting process. So it's not like a masterclass level, but it's for if you want to get your models off your shelf from being bare plastic and going onto an actual table to play. That's the idea behind it. Too much bare plastic ruins the tabletop. So it's just a way to get everything painted.
So are you the painter for like everybody?
No. Phil's an amazing airbrush painter, as well as with a brush anyway. He does all the airbrushing. He's amazing at terrain and scenery, so he's going to do a load of logs on. I mean, yesterday he spent an evening painting up all of the Armageddon sets, and another 3, I think. There was like 3 or 4 sets of Armageddon bits that he just did in one night. Mike, who's been on the channel a little bit, he will be doing painting tutorials as well. It's generally been me so far, but we're trying to get Mike involved. And Rachel, who is my wife, she doesn't paint, she doesn't build. She generally will only play games because that's what she enjoys, and she doesn't get to decide to, she doesn't have to do the bad parts of the hobby that she doesn't like. She just does all the good stuff. So I leave her to it, and I paint her army. But that's the only stuff that I paint that I don't really want to.
Rachel's like perfect for you guys in America because she's so competitive. She's absolutely competitive. It's brilliant. She just list builds constantly.
That's amazing. That is so good.
We were talking about it on the chat earlier. She says we were talking about whether she would change to high elves when they re-release them, or high A elves, whatever they're going to be called. And she's like, no, I can't do that because then I'd have to arrange for you and Phil to both paint my army in time. And I'm just getting you to paint the Seraphon right now. And it's like, that's the biggest concern for her, is trying to convince us to paint another army for her. but it'll happen. I can imagine I'll be painting Phoenix Guard for another month as soon as that's out.
Oh my goodness. Now, the other thing I'd heard from your chat earlier, I think it's you, Sam, who also is, you like to float from army to army. You have no particular loyalties to any army.
Yeah, I'm just really bad at commitment. That's my issue. And I get bored very
Don't tell
quickly.
Rachel.
No, Rachel, the marriage. I'm super lucky to even be with Rachel, and she knows that. I'm an overachiever on that sense, but for everything else, commitment is definitely not something of my strong point. I like to, as soon as an army comes out, I want to buy it. I think about 1,000 different armies and how I would paint them and design them and a theme, and then I build them and then I get bored and start again.
Do you ever sell them off, or you just build this massive, display case?
No, I sell them or give them away. I've given away so many armies that I don't even want to think about the money that's wasted. Well, not wasted. Somebody's got an army at the end of it and they're happy. But I've either sold them really cheap just to say, give us a token gesture so I can start the next one, or they just get given away.
Wow.
I would at least sell them for like the cost, right? That's super cheap still for, I'm sure, your amazing paint job. And then it just, then you're not paying for new models. You're just paying for the paint.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I should have done that. That's bad business practice from myself. I could never be a commission painter. That's for sure.
Wow. For the miniatures, and I'm painting less and less of my own stuff anymore because, it needs to get done at some point. But yeah. I couldn't imagine selling my army. I'm like, nope, that's mine. If this is a battle from 2005, I'm never I don't even care if the model's used ever again. I'm not ever selling it. It's mine. I'm like a model hoarder in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't let my armies go. I can't let them go. I've just put too much into them. It's just wave goodbye to them. I've got 3 armies in my hobby room that Sam's painted. Pretty much finished the last model and just gone, no, I don't think I like these. And I've taken them away from him just so he won't lose them, because secretly I think one day he'll ask for them back. I kind of hope for that. I don't remember how good they are, and then I can just give him his army back and go, there you go. You can play them again, but no, it'll never happen.
Wow.
Nice. I'm like you, Phil. I can't really give things up. I have given one army up. Is when I moved across the country from a game, I couldn't fit everything, so I left my 40k orcs to be used for better purposes. But then I missed them, and I find the models are used and abused, and you're just like, never again. Never again.
The other thing, actually, the other reason, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a backup for this. The reason I switch quite often as well is, when you start an army and you start painting it to a certain standard or to a scheme, by the time you get to 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 points, I always tend to change the way that I've done something. And the stuff towards the end of that looks very different to the beginning. So I'll stop the army and then start a brand new one, just so that they're all at the same level. And that's just kept happening. So there's never been a consistent army that looks the same unless I paint them all in a week's period. So that's generally why I get rid of them, because I don't like them looking mismatched. This might just be OCD based again, but
you just gotta play. You gotta play like orcs, and then they're supposed to look mismatched, right? They just call it the log, and then they're just all from all over the place.
This is true.
That's my excuse for my bad painting.
I can't touch orcs because Phil's going to start them just so he can build trucks.
Yeah, I don't want to build trucks.
Orc vehicles are just the best.
Yeah.
I'd look around and see everyday objects and think that would make a great orc vehicle. It's just, a modeler's dream, isn't it, that army?
I love going to the hobby shop and just picking up some cheap World War II vehicles, and then just rip out the plastic card and the extra bits from the other GW kits, and just it looks amazing. I didn't even do that much.
Yeah.
Because most of GW stuff is kind of based on World War II vehicles already, in some sense. So it kind of fits and it's good, and you can get pretty good scales. It's that's a nice, easy beginner's conversion tip. That took a while to connect. I'm tired. But so that I'm getting pretty excited about 8th edition. With 6th and 7th edition, it really destroyed the play style that I really enjoyed out of 40k, which is kind of running around, more melee units, or hordes or whatever as orcs, and it seemed to destroy that kind of playstyle army, and I just really didn't have much fun with it on a regular basis. But people keep wanting me to play orcs again, so I keep on getting all these leaks of information and tidbits. And here, look at this. Yeah, it's gonna be so much better for orcs. And so, I mean, we'll see. But if it is what everyone is saying it will be, you may be seeing some more 40K battle reports in my channel in the future.
Yeah. Looking at the new charge rules, I think orcs are definitely going to have an orc player. At last, is going to have fun again. I think.
It's been a rough
idea that
year.
Yeah, you can kind of steamroll into other units during that pile-in move is just going to be brilliant. You can just see the orc tide working really well in that instance. I think I might have to go out and buy some green paint.
It's going to be one of the top 5 armies for 8th edition. I'm calling it now.
All right. Well, with my mad skills, we're going to number 1. Just gotta wipe off all the dust.
Or just start a new army. It's fine.
I think the lag might have fixed itself now, finally. I'll just take credit for that.
What are you painting right now? What army are you involved with currently before you give it away?
Oh, my stuff. So I finished my Iron Jaws, my Age of Sigmar army, and I've had them for 2 months and they've not gone, so that's really, really good. Rachel's got these Seraphim. So I've got all of these to paint. There's about 3,000 points. So they've just got base coats and washers at the moment, and I'm just trying to build them up so she can play some games. Because every day it's like, can I have some more skinks so I can do a battle report with skinks? Yeah, no worries, that's fine. I'll spend a few hours painting skinks for you, no problem. Trying to book it. I've not done any recent painting tutorials. I'm still going through the backlog of editing. And the reason I haven't got any recent stuff is because I'm painting other armies in between. So it's difficult trying to make time to paint my own armies, paint Rachel's army, paint stuff for the studio stuff that we need later on, as well as doing tutorials, the live chats, the battle reports. It's constant. I literally need more time or a clone.
Yeah, no, that is pure exhaustion. And I don't get to do it full time, so that's even harder.
Yeah, when I was doing it full time, it was your hobby time turns into your filming time. It's kind of like it almost gets too hard to have your fun games and relaxed games on the side. I mean, they become fewer and fewer as you focus more on the battle reports and the tutorials. So, I mean, it's almost like you lose a little bit, but at the same time, you get the community involvement and you get so much feedback, and so you gain way more than you lose.
Well, I think conventions help a lot. Now, you said you went to Salute. Is that only tabletop games?
Yes. From what we saw, I didn't see any board games. It was all miniature tabletop, but it was massive. It was just a huge warehouse in London. I think it was 6,500 people queuing, and it was like zigzagging all the way back. And it was the first one that me and Phil had been to, and we were absolutely blown away with how awesome it was. How many different things were in one room? That was the main thing. And how many people were wandering around and just meeting each other and saying hello. It was great.
No, it sounds incredible, because even Adepticon here in Chicago, like, I think is not quite that big yet. And it's an amazing experience just being around everybody who has the same specific interests, like, or I guess, with tabletop gaming, right? Where as opposed to Gen Con or I think even PAX Unplugged, it's like board games, which doesn't always translate into tabletop games, but there you get to just, everybody you meet's probably heard of what you play and is probably interested in it too.
Yeah, we definitely, we've got 3 more coming up. There's I think it's Gen Con, or is it Games Expo? So.
Games Expo.
So that's 4 games with some other stuff. So we're going to go there anyway, just to check it out and see what is there, because Rachel really likes board games quite a lot as well, so we'll probably pick up a lot of stuff. And then at the end of May, there is ChillCon, which is another event up in Sheffield. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from us. And then the very day after is Warhammer Fest. So we've got a lot of stuff to turn up to and film loads of content and do as many interviews as we can and come back with bags and bags of miniatures again. So after Salute, that was a proper learning experience and it was a lot of fun. I think I got Phil up way too early because I was really excited to go down. I think we got up I was at like 4 o'clock in the morning, ringing him like, "Can I come down now? Shall we leave now?" And he's like,
it's like a 2-hour drive to the centre of London from where we are, and we needed to be there for 10 o'clock, and Sam arrived here at 4:20 in the morning. It was just, yeah. No, I think you're a bit early, Sam, but you know, we had time to make a sandwich. So.
I don't like being late to stuff, so I make sure I'm really early. But I thought the journey was going to be longer than 2 hours, because getting to London, it's normally, from what I've heard, quite congested. And I was thinking maybe 3 to 4 hours. Then if there's a big queue, we don't want to be waiting in a line. We want to be at the front. So 4 seems pretty reasonable to me. So I think there was like Dave, Rachel, me. We just got in the car and drove to Phil's and then made him drive us to London. So it was good. It was a great day. And we got there really early.
There's no traffic, so you're definitely going to beat it.
Yeah.
That was another I mean, driving through London at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, it was really quiet.
That's an experience.
There was nobody there. It's like it's the city. It's a huge city, and there was just nobody. People. It was like a zombie apocalypse. It was great. As good as a zombie apocalypse could be, I'd say.
Excellent.
I remember driving to Adepticon from here in New Mexico. That was a 19-hour drive. That was not short.
Yeah.
That wasn't even quite across the country.
Yeah, in 19 hours, we pretty much can cover most of Europe. So yeah. You've certainly got distances.
Yeah, we're.
I should imagine that.
I was excited to go to WorgamerCon. It was only an hour and a half away. Most tournaments we go to, it's like 3 hours away or whatever. But it's like the most local thing you can get. It's like, yes, it's only an hour and a half to 2 hours away. So close.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of advantages in the UK, but at least we don't have great distances. I think Warhammer Fest is literally a 20-minute drive from my house. I think so. It's not too bad when that's on, and it's going to be a big one this year. It's going to be a really big one this year, isn't it? So
I can't wait. I'm going to pick up a bunch of limited edition models. We're going to see a bunch of people there. Warhammer World's great as well, and I feel really bad I feel bad because I wish I've never been to America actually, and I've always wanted to go and see all the different stores and all the different events over there, and I'm always wishing to do that, but then I'm like, Warhammer World's around the corner, and there's people who can't just turn up and have a look around and chat to all the people there, so I've kind of it's not that bad, is it, Phil?
No, it's not. Salute though I think the thing was Salute was an eye opener because you see all the independents and in one space all those different games and different game styles. Drop Zone Commander just looked amazing. We were checking that out. There's just so many games out there, and that was the problem. By the end of the day, we just realized there's far too many games that you could ever play. I mean, we've tried to cover a few on the channel. And, some of the people down there were absolutely brilliant and gave us sort of sets to review and those kind of things and, time to interview them as well. And I do think you realize actually the barrier into some of those games isn't that great. You can pick them up and start playing quite quickly, can't you? A lot of those games that are designed. We were looking at Frostgrave and you need like 6 models to be playing that, which is this great little sort of semi-role play, semi-war game, semi-skirmish game. Is just absolutely brilliant and just really good fun. But you basically pick a wizard and you have a bunch of acolytes with you and you're just basically stamping around a dungeon trying to steal treasure from each other. It's just fantastic.
No, I've heard about it, and I think I might own the rule book for it now, but yeah, that was a really good idea.
Yeah, well, miniature war games just keep popping up everywhere now. It's just people are like, yeah, let's make these like nice, easy to go in. Use our models, whatever. Here's the game, and they're having success with it. That's really cool.
Well, and it's also popping up too. I don't think I've seen anything on the scale of even War Machine, but more particularly like 40K or fantasy anymore.
I think the thing for me that was most surprising is if you think of a theme or a setting that you would want to play as a miniature war game, you can pretty much find one now. And that's the incredible thing. Like I was saying, I want to play a samurai game, and then there's the Test of Honor from Warlord Games. You've got the Frostgrave was great because they described it to us as having like wizard battles, but you don't even need to kill each other. The aim of the game is to steal treasure, so you can just teleport across to a ramp, steal the treasure, and run away. It's not out to kill the other person. It's just to one of them was like you can turn into a cat. Like you've got an illusion, turn into a cat and just run across a wall and grab the treasure and run away before anything happens. I thought that was amazing. and encouraging you to use other models. Because as a miniatures game, if you like a model, buy what you want and you just play their system, which is brilliant. The barrier has gone down instantly. You don't have to pay £50 to £100 or whatever it is in dollars, probably the same now, $50 or $100 to start a new system. So the barrier has disappeared for starting a new game system.
Blue Table Painting is trying to embarrass me in the chat by showing them their first interview with me, and I was like terrified of the camera. Oh, so awful. Don't look at it.
I think I remember that video. He like asked you like weird questions.
Well, when you meet Sean, if you ever meet him in person, he'll like just walk up and hug you and just be like, "Hi, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh gosh." So
I think
like a dog. He doesn't like. He's a super nice, great guy. Does not understand personal space.
I think
we did a chat. Oh, sorry. No, please.
No, just briefly. Sean, I think, asked Miranda a question. He's like, "What kind of girl are you? How much time do you backspace before, like when you're typing and you make a mistake? How many times do you backspace before it's a mistake that you don't go back or whatever?" And I'm like, "What kind of question is that?" And Miranda's like,
We'll try to answer everything seriously. Like, that was the first mistake, really.
Oh, it was great.
We had Sean on the chat the other night. He joined us on our chat, which was fantastic because there's a load of fans of Sean's over here, so they were all very excited and kind of throwing, including us, throwing a whole bunch of questions at him. It was brilliant. It was like a night off. We were just like, "Hey everyone, this is Sean," and that was pretty much all we said. It was just took the rest of the night off. It was great.
It's okay. Sean's in the chat, so he can defend himself. So I'm not going to. I wanted to go back a little bit to your production value again. Like, you guys have a very impressive setup. Again, all the cameras I thought were really incredible for the battle reports. Who and I know you said it was sort of a collaborative, perfected design based on everything else you'd seen. But who's kind of the tech guy of your tech person of your crew?
Probably Phil, to be honest. Phil's very good at tech and digital stuff. I like to complain and tweak things, so Phil has a way of doing it, and then I'll say, "Can you just do it this way?" And he'll go, "No, figure it out," and I'll figure it out, and then they'll go, "Okay, you do it like this and do it properly." So Phil is definitely the tech guy. He knows what he's doing. But I think we both had to learn a lot. Like last year, I've had retail experience, and that was my experience. I've worked in shops. I worked in like computer stores. I worked at Games Workshop for a bit, and I wanted to get out of retail. So I had no skills other than retail and talking to people. And then as soon as I came out of that, I had to learn how to edit, learn how to do like photography and everything else that's gone along with the channel. And in less than a year, I've had to try and at least do a decent quality with it. So through Phil's guidance, we've managed to do the best that we can, and we're learning stuff every single day, and it's absolutely awesome because you pick up a new piece of software, or you watch a video and you think, "Oh, I wish I could tweak that in a certain way or do something with it." And the only problem is it's ruined films and TV series, because now I sit and watch movies and look at all the different frames and the cutting and the way that they edit it, and I don't watch the film anymore.
Oh my gosh, that didn't happen to me. I love movies. Like, I love them too much. So whenever I watch it, I'm like, how'd they do that? Okay. And I'm pretty good at predicting movies anymore because, again, I see too many. But I don't know, like, it's kind of fun to be part of, in a way, know some of the editing behind the scenes or what they do or how they snuck something in, or, generally my issue with movies is more when they've jacked around with, like, the story. So
yeah,
rather than the technical side of it.
Editing's definitely been my favorite thing to learn. Anyway, go on, Phil.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it started off with me with the technical skills, if you like, but what Sam added was he's just utterly never satisfied with anything. So as soon as an edit's finished, he's like, we could do that better. And, what we've decided is, obviously to a degree, you have to just go with what you've got and then work on improving it every time. And I think there is a big drive for kind of continual improvement in what we're doing. And the premium side of our website has done quite well in the first. We've been going about 12 weeks, haven't we, in terms of chats? But I think realistically, in terms of the channel, I think it's been the last 8 weeks where really people started to find us, because for the first 4 weeks you don't really appear on the radar of YouTube. And in those 8 weeks, we're already at a position where we can start to set up a dedicated studio now. So we're doing that this month, which I think is going to help, and it will make Sam infinitely more happy because he can control the light and things like that. So he's going to be a lot happier with, no random shadows drifting across the frame or something like that, which he didn't even know was a problem until about a month ago, and suddenly it is. So.
He makes me out to be this really nasty overlord. Phil, you're doing this wrong. Phil, you're doing that wrong. But the realistic side of it is Billy's the same, if not worse. But he's more laid back, because when we need to do something, I'm trying to do like consistent scheduled content. So we have like a battle report on a certain day. We have an unboxing, try and have scheduled content. And Phil will just go, yeah, it'll be all right. We'll sort it. It'll be all right on the day. And it's like the night before, we'll be really rushing to get something done, to get it edited. And Phil's great with that sort of pressure, but I can't. I have to plan everything. If it's not planned, then I just freak out. I just can't handle it. So
Phil, I live your life, Phil.
Phil's just so laid back. You won't find anybody who's as laid back as him, and it freaks me out because I can't be like him. But that's the thing. In our group, we've got a mix of personalities. Me and Phil are probably opposites on pretty much everything, really. Painting, army choices, the way we do stuff. Laid back against. The only thing that we agree on is KR cases. The way that we store our armies is the only thing that we agree on.
No, I don't think we quite agree on that, because you insist on fitting an army in one box, and I'm like, I don't mind if it takes 1.5 boxes. That's okay. But Sam designs some of his armies so they'll fit in one box, and if he can't fit a unit in the box, then it won't go in his army. No matter how competitive or effective that unit could be, if there's no room in the box, he's not taking it to the table. Yeah.
Armies have been shifted because they don't fit in a case very well. It's another reason.
Wow,
that very special kind of
your game. So I've got to ask the good old personality questions then. So what got either of you into gaming? How long did you know about it? Did family introduce it to you? Did you discover it on your own?
Do you want to go first, Bill?
Yeah, I'll go first. I got into gaming a long time ago, before Games Workshop was Games Workshop. So I started off with a little role-playing game called Tunnels and Trolls, which I think was like a budget version of Dungeons and Dragons, essentially. I mean, you can spot the similarity. And you used to paint models just to kind of, as you do in Dungeons and Dragons, to represent your character. But not long after I got into that, the first edition of Fantasy came out, and it very quickly got into just, a floor full of lead, with these massive orc armies just charging against each other. And, there was no gaming boards or anything. The battle boards were always, a rug with a couple of books balanced on top and all the rest. So, and I think I played consistently for about 10 years, and then university life, job, travel, and all the rest got in the way. And I had, about a 20-year break. And then about 5 years ago, my son was having some issues with like control when he was writing. So his writing he was struggling to get it neat and, to do the letter shape. And I was sitting with him night after night trying to help him with his writing. And it was really, really boring for him and for me. We were both, being a parent can be really dull sometimes. Caring's hard work. And, we were walking past the Games Workshop, and he looked through the window and sort of said, "What's all this?" And I was like, "Oh, you don't want to go in there. It's a dangerous world." And as we were stood looking through the window, I was thinking, maybe if I get him painting, that would help with, small motor control, help him with his handwriting. And painting's a lot more interesting than doing, the letter C over and over again 100 times. So we went inside. He came out with Fenrisian Wolves. I came out with Eldar, Guardians. And then 5 years later, we've got a website and a channel and a whole room full of KR cases, which are full of armies. So it exploded. I really got back into it. He got into the painting side. It definitely fixed the handwriting issues. So, good recommendation out there for anybody if they're having trouble getting their kids to concentrate on doing something like that. Just give them something they enjoy instead. And Fenrisian Wolves was an absolute winner, because who can't dry brush and a wash? And the end result was brilliant. So he was really happy. But yeah, so that's how it all started. And that shop was eventually the store that Sam took over from. So that's how we met. And I'll hand over to Sam now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know whether to just brief mine then. Mine's not as long, because I've not been on the earth as long as Phil.
Wow, that's so nice when you preface it that way. I can tell you're really good friends.
Yeah, well, yeah. He has to be friends with me, don't you, Phil? Phil had to say the other day, because I said something like, "Oh yeah, I woke up at 5 and started doing some hobby stuff," and then Phil came down later at 7 o'clock in the morning. We got on with some airbrushing, and Phil was like, "Yeah, just to be clear, he doesn't live here, and I don't live at his house, but I'm there quite often working on stuff." But no, the old jokes we have to tell every single time we do a stream, don't we, Phil? And generally, you bring up how much experience you've got over everybody, and it's not a downside. Age is not a downside. If anything, it's a bonus. Anyway, so about me, my mum took me to a friend's solicitor's firm, and opposite the firm outside the window was a games workshop, and that was Derby Games Workshop. And I went in there, saw a load of really cool looking dragons in bright colours, and didn't have enough money to buy anything in the shop because it was far too expensive. And I couldn't afford anything when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever it was. Came back a few years later when I had some pocket money or birthday money, and bought some Katachan warriors, jungle warriors, because I worked out that I got more models for the money than my friend who was getting Space Marines. And I thought that would be awesome. I would definitely have more for that. And then got back and realized I couldn't paint anything. So I spent years just practicing, ruining model after model, being taught by Duncan and Chris Peach, as I've said before. Both of them helped me get decent at painting. And I played that till I was about 17, I think, at least 17, maybe 18, and then just stopped playing it completely. Life carried on. I went and got a job and girls and things like that. And then settled down with Rachel, and that's when I had more money and more time, and went back into Games Workshop stuff and got excited about it again. And then I got a job at Games Workshop, worked there for a couple of years, and now we're doing a website, like Phil said. So I met Phil at the store. He was a very regular customer. I think every day, if not every other day, you were down at least just to say hello. And we got chatting, and to be honest, everybody in the local community is amazing. They've helped out loads. We all get on really well. We've got the clubs, and we've got the local events that we organise. And it's just great to know a bunch of people, like you were saying, at the events, the Salute and the Adepticon, just being surrounded with other people who love your hobby. There's nothing better than that. So it's just such a great environment to be in. And obviously you've got like the computer gaming environment, but a lot of that is full of negativity or the competitiveness that just isn't fun to be a part of. Even when you're playing team-based games, there's always negativity, whereas miniatures is... Phil's laughing because I'm negative all the time, but...
He's talking about himself more
than... I'm not very good at computer games. I get angry.
If you've ever been on chat with him when he's playing a group game with his mates, that's... he's talking about himself there.
Okay, so don't play me on computer games, but miniatures is great fun. So I absolutely fell in love with it.
Now, do you guys tend to, I'm not a phrase it necessarily, but I mean, do you try to have very competitive games on your channel, or is it mostly just about having like fun games?
Bit of everything, really. I mean, I'm a really bad loser, and I'm going to admit it. I don't like losing games. And
War Machine.
The thing is, I've changed. Like Phil has taught me, and a bunch of others that have been playing games. Very good, like Mike, who's on the channel. He's an awesome friend, and he's the most laid-back gamer that I've ever played against and ever will play against, because he doesn't care. He'll just push his models forwards. He'll know everything that everything's supposed to work a certain way. He'll get absolutely decimated, and he doesn't even flinch. He's just like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool, carry on. I'm like, what? he just got destroyed. And he's like, yeah, do you want to destroy this unit as well? And I'm like, what? Like the best person to play against. And from playing Mike and from playing Phil, I've slowly learned to stop caring about losing as much and try and have more fun with the game. So for me, it's kind of an evolution of being a fun person to play against and not playing like a video game where I have to like crush everybody that I play, because it's not fun for them, and that's not what the hobby's about.
There's definitely a mixture on the team. I mean, Rachel and Sam are competitive, and if you put them on a game together, you're going to see, you know, the kind of bickering and bantering that goes off between them. We did a battle report recently where they mercilessly were unforgiving in terms of not allowing them to go back. So if they forgot a roll, no, move on, we've got to get on with the game. You know, so it's just, and using really bad excuses like the camera's running out of battery, we need to carry on, and things like that. It's like, yeah, sure.
Say it's running out
the
of
camera's
film, even better.
Whereas
you
know, you know, myself and you know, so a little bit more relaxed about the gaming, you know. So it's I think that kind of, hopefully that mix in the team will suit where they're going with, you know, 8th edition 40k and where they've already gone with Sigmar, the kind of narrative games which aren't necessarily about winning, versus the, you know, the point system games which are very much, you know, getting into the competitive side of it. But we'll see. I hope so. We've got a good balance in the team, and the good news is we know each other well enough now. But I know if I'm getting into a game with Sam, you know, he's going to complain about 5.8 inches rather than 6 inches and things like that, or, you know, those kind of things. So we can adapt to each other quite well.
It's part of the game. I think a lot of people sometimes struggle, and they see like what me and Phil could be classed as being really mean to each other and bullying constantly is just us having fun, I think, a lot of the time. And most of our chats descend in everybody bullying me in some way, shape or form will be a dig at me. I think tonight's chat, there was a good 5-6 minutes at the end of our chat where people were just, you know, being nasty. And that's fine, because I'm happy with that. That's the segment of the show now. We're going to do that.
I don't know that nasty is the right word for it. Is that where they were all giving you grief for which army you quit within like 2 minutes or something?
Yeah, that was nothing.
And in 2 minutes,
like, everybody.
I mean, that was really impressive, actually. I remember hearing that. I was like, are they joking?
No, we weren't. We weren't joking.
But the thing is, as well, it makes it sound like I'm loaded. I'm absolutely rolling in money. I'm not. I just don't do much else. I budget everything. And, you know, you can go out and get drunk every single week, or you can save that money and buy half of an army for one night out that you don't go out. So budgeting and selling stuff, and yeah, you can easily build up these armies. They're not too expensive nowadays. All the getting started boxes. No, you shake your head. The getting started boxes are the best that Games Workshop's ever done. For £50, you're getting the majority of an army, the start of an army in a box, and it's definitely more affordable than it ever has been. So I'm enjoying the direction that it's gone in.
Yeah, if I can't have like the majority of the army, it's not an army. Right? It's like a small little piece of a faction that's like over here in the corner. You're like, yeah, you can play a game with it, but you don't have the army. I need to like, I want this and this and this, and even if they aren't good, you're like, oh, I gotta play with it and experiment. And I just have this big, huge collection, and I go, I want that one and that one and that one, and I play the game with it. I gotta have that. And it's
that's like, definitely an army. My armies, this is another thing then, I'm not that bad. My armies probably get to 2,000 points and then I re-roll. So I'm not even doing proper armies. It's just small little factions that I'm doing. It's not that bad.
So skirmish games are probably very appealing because it's super easy to get into.
Yeah, Armageddon I'm really looking forward to starting, just so I can do multiple different teams and have a little bit of a dabble in each faction rather than committing too much. And Frostgrave, that was appealing just because I can get a couple of wizards and a warband, and if I change the wizards out I can still use the warband that I've got. So I'm definitely looking more at skirmish games for me to play in my spare time, and I want to do like a 40k army. I want to commit to something and do the Dan style. You know, I want to pick a bit of everything rather than just having a small amount that I sell. So I've got to pick one of those, but it is exciting.
Well, Dan builds lists from stuff that he finds like on the street, and then like whatever any other people around him happen to have in their bags, as he has actually put together lists based on just what people had around him because he forgot to bring his stuff.
This is awesome way. I've hit up to a tournament and I'm like, oh, I totally forgot to put those in my bag. I'm like, okay, we got so many points to fill. What do people got in their bags? I'm like, okay, maybe it could work. Luckily, I have a nice enough personality that people are willing to share, and we end up having good fun. And then I'm like, actually, this was maybe even better than what I originally planned.
They were reasonably sure he wouldn't steal their stuff.
Yeah. Or one of my favorite moves is you show up to a game night and everyone has their lists that they want to try out, and you open up your bag and go, "We're playing how much points? Playing against which faction? Let's pick up this. Pick up this." They got to an art where with at least my orc army, it would be like, "All right, I want to play. Let's try out this today," and it would be like boom, 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 and you add up the points, and I'm like within 50 points of like a 1750 army. You just kind of get that feel for it, and you're like, "Yeah." That's when I love playing 40K the most, when you can just kind of have that and you can draw from anything, and it's just, all right, let's try this combination today.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Most of my lists are sort of built out of things I haven't played yet. So it's like I've never combined that, and that. And I mean, usually it's terrible, but I'd still like to try it. And, you know. So.
No, it's fun. See, I'm kind of like in between Sam and Phil, I think, because I very much enjoy the competitive environment. If it's 5.8 inches, you don't get the charge. I'm sorry. You need 6 inches. That's the rule.
But then opposite on the army building.
I'll throw in the craziest army and be like, well, I'm playing from a downside. I just got to be a better player, I guess. And you just like really got to focus on. And I've never been good at optimizing lists because of that. And so I've never been able to play at the highest level, but that's okay. I have lots of fun whenever I do.
Give yourself extra difficulty.
There you go. Hard mode.
Pretty much the opposite of you, Sam, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm really bad at, I just pick the filthiest list, play the game and feel really bad for the opponent, and then afterwards swear I'll never do it again. And then the very next day I'll go and do the same thing. Like I've got an Eldar Wraith army that I used in the store, and whenever people because obviously you've got loads of different types of gamers. So people who would turn up with a fluffy list, they'll play against another person with a fluffy list. They'd have a great time. And every now and again, you get somebody like me that would walk into the store and just trash the other person, shout at them, and then walk out with their arms in the air, like really victorious. I'm like, that's not very nice. So when they came back in and they wanted to play a game, I would bring out this disgusting Wraith army and be like, right, let's play, let's do this. And then play a game which was more on their level. So I felt good for kind of evening out the playing field. But then I went and did that to everybody else as well. So I'm like, somebody needs to punish me. Somebody needs to just destroy my army. And Phil luckily did that with a fluffy army and made me feel really bad in the process, which is fine. So I'm slowly learning. I'm like, maybe tactics does beat filthy list, and Phil does it with a smile on his face. So that's the way forward.
Good job, Phil.
We've got that Wraith army in a box. We need to give that Wraith army away because it literally is toxic. It just turns any gamer into some kind of powerhouse, you know.
It was worse because it was a Wraith army, and obviously you could, before they switched it in the FAQ, you could have Dark Eldar Raiders and put your Wraith Guard D-Scythe unit into a Raider. So there's 3 Raiders full of D-Scythe Wraiths that just fly around the board, burning everything. And with a Wraith Knight just jumping in and out of combats, it was pretty filthy to watch, even whichever side of the table you were on.
It sounds so mean. So
it is mean. It is mean.
You really do deserve the bullying that you get at this point. Like, that's just repentant.
But I'm trying to change as a wargamer. I'm trying to change, so there's always that.
You're such a great judge of character.
Part of it, I guess.
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm a power wargamer.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, good. You guys definitely put out a lot of good content. Like I said, you cropped up in like the last 3 months and have probably more videos than I do. And good job. I'm glad you guys have a team that's working on it, and I hope you guys stick around for a long time to come. Where do people find you? Where do they go to find you? Online, not in
yeah.
your house.
We've got
YouTube channel.
Go on,
Go on,
Phil.
Sam. No, you know them better than me, to be honest.
Okay, so YouTube, you've got youtube.com/WargamerOnline, all one word. And then the website is WargamerOnline.com. So it's quite straightforward with that. Facebook's the same. If you just type in Wargamer Online, all one word, it should come up on there as our page. And we've also got a Facebook group, which we're getting more and more people on, which is if you search Wargamer Online space community, you can join that group. And that's more for everybody to interact with each other and post up work in progress pictures and discuss games. And we don't really use it as a place to link videos because we kind of like it more as a community group where people just talk about stuff. So every now and again, there might be a plug from an individual channel every week or every 2 weeks, but we're trying to monitor it so it doesn't become like a spam group where it's just advertising every single day. And it's really good. We've got loads of great members on there that are posting up awesome pictures of their stuff. So if anybody wants to join, you're more than welcome to. And everybody that does join our channel, we're appreciative of it. We do appreciate everybody who joins our channel. And with the amount of support we've had in the last 3 months, like we expected to just come on YouTube, put out our content and just see what happens. And it's incredible how much attention it's got really from everybody. We're absolutely astounded with the remarks and the comments that we're getting and the private messages. And to everyone who's joined our premium membership so early on, we're building up the content, but people have jumped on board and sent us all sorts of messages saying, thank you for doing the content. It's awesome. So really, really good. And thank you to you. And there's everybody else who's been helping us spread around the internet a little bit more, around America especially, because obviously we're on a tiny little island on the other side of the ocean.
Who just happens to have
I think it's very clear.
Wargaming.
It's very clear that you guys are working super hard
and
producing high quality content. So you deserve everything you're getting. So.
Thank you.
So good job. I think we'll probably wrap it up here unless you guys have some final thoughts.
Thank you very much for having us on. Just blown away that you guys invited us on because you're like internet superstars. So thank you very much. Great beard,
before you know the truth. So, well, I very much appreciate you guys. And definitely reach out. If you're ever in the States, obviously, I hope to see you at conventions here, and maybe I will get over there at some point in the UK.
Yes.
Well, you'd certainly be welcome if ever you're coming over. We'll give you a guided tour of Warhammer World and the rest. So,
of England. It will take 4 hours.
We can do England in 4 hours, yeah.
I think England is about the size of like New Mexico, just the one state I live in. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool. Thank you guys again. We're going to end it here. And check out WargamerOnline.com and the YouTube channel at WargamerOnline. So good night, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back again in 2 weeks. And we'll talk about something, I'm sure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.